What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another assembly reaction. That's right, I wanted to give a big shout out to Herman, who recently asked if I knew about the track Never Never, and I mentioned to him that I had been made aware of the assembly by a friend of the channel, Han Solo, months back, and I had reacted to the extended mix of Never Never, and I had just assumed, like, if I'd reacted to the extended mix, then essentially I had reacted to what would likely be the shorter, like, regular or single version. But Herman actually said he prefers the single version to the extended mix, so now I'm keen to listen to this. Once again, shout out to Han Solo for sharing the assembly to begin with, which, again, you know, back in the day I didn't know about, a Vince Clarke related project with Eric Radcliffe, and then my understanding is again, I think Han Solo was explaining this, that they were going to work with a bunch of different singers, like a new singer for each track, but that quickly became sort of impractical and infeasible, and so the project sort of fizzled out, and they didn't end up doing as much as it looks like they were going to do, which, again, I made the point that they took a lot of promotional pictures to only release a couple tracks. So clearly they had thoughts about this being a more significant thing, but then, again, eventually Vince, you know, teamed up with Andy, and Erasure was born, and, you know, the rest is history, so to speak. But and again, I'm now remembering that I've forgotten how to pronounce the singer's name. It's like Feargal. I don't think it's Feargal, because I remember saying it that way. I was like, no, that's not how you say it. So, but Mr. Sharkey, we're gonna hear once again. So let's get straight to it. This is the regular, or, you know, single version of the track Never Never by The Assembly, and just make sure I have this right. Yeah, I guess the vocalist Feargal Sharkey. So in any case, this is The Assembly Never Never, the regular or single cut.
I know just what to say, it's just a game I play. Now I'm here on my own. I'd like to be with you, I guess you always knew. Still I'm all alone. I know the story, got it all worked out. It never happens to me, it never happens to me.
How good this song is.
It never happens to me, it never happens to me. It's just a door that's locked and there's no key. It never happens to me. I know my every line, it's just a waste of time. Guess it's all such a shame. I've seen it all before, and every time I'm sure that it ends up the same. I know the story, got it all worked out. Never happens to me, it never happens to me. It's the way my life was meant to be. It never happens to me, it never happens to me. It's just a door that's locked and there's no key. It never happens to me. I know just what to say, it's just a game I play. Now I'm here on my own. I'd like to be with you, I guess you always knew. Still
It's like an acoustic guitar layer, and then that.
I know the story, got it all worked out. It never happens to me, it never happens to me. That's the way my life was meant to be. It never happens to me, it never happens to me. It's just a door that's locked. never happens to me. It never happens to me. It never happens to me.
Crystalline star
It
touches.
never happens to me. It never happens to me. It never happens to me. It never happens to me.
I'm gonna have to agree. I think
Never happens to
it's a bit
me.
tidier of a tune, this version. And you know, sometimes I do much prefer extended or 12-inch mixes of tracks, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was exactly what it needed to be. I will say I forgot how good that song is. It's not one that like I've listened to in the last couple months, so it wasn't really on my radar when Herman mentioned it. But I'm glad you brought my attention back to it. Once again, shout out to Han Solo as well for telling me about the assembly in the first place. Number one, it would be cool to hear more songs with this particular trio. These two producers and this particular singer. I do like his voice a lot. I think it's also telling, and like I'm sure Radcliffe had a lot to do with the track. But it's interesting because when I hear something like this, it just screams early Vince Clarke to me, and I think it's telling. I could imagine that track either with Alison Moyet's voice or with Andy Bell's voice. Like I feel like I could hear that track with either like as a Yazoo track or as an erasure track. So yeah, it's interesting to me that like even though this project didn't work out, I feel like it was very much Vince in his wheelhouse looking for the project that would click and become more permanent. Which again, once Erasure began, I feel like that come to fruition. So, which is a tautology, was that come to fruition. Nevertheless, I'll stop being silly, but once again, shout out to Herman, shout out to Han Solo, and yeah, let me know what you think of this version and or whether you prefer the longer extended cut or this one. I will see you next time. Peace.